Hi guys, it's me. So I wanted to do a live today, and I asked everybody kind of like what they wanted me to speak about. And what everybody asked me is like how to get a boyfriend and school, classroom, workplace, how to handle those situations, I guess. So basically, I'll cover the boyfriend one first because to me that's like the easiest one for me personally, but I'm outgoing, to be honest. And so, I mean, I don't know, you just be yourself, and the right person's gonna love you regardless. I'm trying to think, and hi guys, I'm trying to think, I mean, just be yourself, and try to communicate the best you can. And I know it's hard, and I'm good, thank you. And, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's so much really that goes into it. I mean, if something's bothering you, tell them, be open and honest. That's a big, big, big thing. Another, like, especially with going into your relationship. I mean, how to get one. I mean, evidently the guy's got to like you too. So, as long as he's liking you and respects you and respects what you believe in and respects, like, all aspects of you, it should work out, and especially if he really cares about you, he'll want to know. Hi guys, he'll want to know more about you. And for my Turner syndrome sisters, and everything else, tell them about the Turners. That's something that's rare, that's unique, that's awesome, that's everything else. That's super important, and I feel like that's an important aspect of our lives because that's a huge aspect of us, unfortunately. And then, for the work, classroom, place, I mean, it depends on what you mean by that. If you mean, like, how to handle it, I mean, just be honest. If you're struggling in an area and you need help in an area, be honest, be open, ask them for more training in that area, especially for a workplace. I mean, I'm sure, especially when you explain to them your condition, and on top of your condition, explain to them, hey, I have Turner's, so I have some issues that I need help with, or, I mean, in the classroom, that's more focusing, that's schoolwork, that's, there's so much that goes into that with our learning difficulties and nonverbal learning disabilities and stuff like that. My best advice is be honest to everybody around so they can help you, because as I always say, honesty is the best policy, and especially if you want the right and proper help so you can move up and advance and basically achieve anything you want to do. And I firmly believe that anyone can achieve anything they want to achieve. So, I mean, whether it's speaking to the dean or counselor's office in college, school, and for my Turner Syndrome sisters, mamas, if you feel like your child is not grasping a subject, talk to the school. They have so many numbers. Talk to the principal, talk to the guidance counselors. There's so many options you can go on that route as well, especially for school. Work is kind of harder because typically you're, like, trained, but I mean, if you're in that training stage, by all means, tell them you're struggling in an area and let them help you get to where you need to be or want to be. I mean, I know everybody has goals going into something, so it just kind of depends on what your goals are, depends on what you need. I mean, or you can do fine if you're talking about, like, telling them, like, personal stuff, like about your Turners or about whatever it is, be honest. And, that's basically what everything boils down to. The guy aspect is hard, I think, for everybody, but right, that is huge. And I am not one, honest to God, to be one to be afraid to ask for help. I mean, if I'm struggling, and I'll say something, but as long as I do it once, I can learn it pretty fast. But that's me. And again, everyone is so different with that. But asking for help is huge for school, for work, for anything along those lines. Yeah, some people, yeah, but that's on them, And I honestly, personally don't care if anybody likes me or not. I'm me but the whole time, and the right people are going to love you and me. And for the boyfriend aspect that people ask me about, that will come into play in that, because if you have to change yourself for a guy, I'm sorry. I'm not going to date somebody I have to be completely different. Sorry, I'm not doing that. And I'm not dealing with somebody who's going to put me down because of my issues, you know. If I explain to you, hey, these are my issues, and I'm trying that, and they want to try and help me work on it, that is the important part. Yes, there's for schooling, yes, there's help, there's learning support, there's whatever you need for extra time on testing, for, I don't know, maybe a teacher reading you the test because you just can't comprehend when you're reading that, you know. I love you too, Christy. Mwah. Anyway, and so, like, again, it just depends on the area you're struggling with. I fully support learning support. I was in it. I'll be completely honest. I was in learning support, so I know all about that. And if my mom's a Turner's syndrome ladies need questions, please don't hesitate to ask me about it. I'll be 100% open about that, but I kind of would do that in a different live. If you guys want to know more about learning support and, like, I mean, how to get it, though, I'm not 100%. My mom just spoke up to the school, called the principal, and everything else, and she fought for me heart, tooth, and nail to get the learning support, to get the help I need, you know. And then when you're in college, you're your self-advocate. You know what you need, whether you need to record the lecture in the classroom, whether you need more time on testing, a different environment in the testing. The colleges will still do that for you. They did it for me. And everything else like that. And I don't know. I'm just so straightforward, to be honest with you, that it's hard. It's very hard. And yeah, I can talk someone's ear off too, if they let me. I'm a very outgoing person, so I'm not shy, like, whatsoever. So that doesn't ever bother me. Yes, they have to understand everything when you're in a relationship. You know, that's why I say honesty is the best policy, because if they don't know what they're getting into, that could scare them away, you know, because we're a whole package deal, literally. And I mean, I'm not changing for nobody, and I sure hope none of my sisters would change for anybody, or any of my loved ones would change for anybody, because I'm sure in the hell not doing that, you know. Sorry, excuse my language. But I'm not doing that, you know. I'm me, and I'm pretty freaking great. So, I mean, I think everybody's perfect, you know, and as I said before, the right person's going to love you for you, you know. They're going to love your little quirks. They're going to love how you do whatever you do, you know, and they're going to understand and work with you, not against you, but with you, you know. And honestly, like, every relationships are going to have its ups and downs and struggles. Please honestly realize that. Like, there's no relationships that's going to be perfect, that's going to be spot on. There's no relationship that's going to be like Magic Kingdom 100% of the time, or whatever your favorite thing is. But having said that, though, it's a work in progress. You know, I don't think anybody has a clear answer of the relationship aspect. It's just kind of what you want. If you want a guy that does this, and this, then make sure you find a guy that does this, and this. But also make sure that you don't lose yourself along the way. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle at, honestly, is losing themselves in the way. But, I mean, don't lose yourself in the way of dating nobody, you know. Don't let them badmouth you and say, you don't understand that, how come, you know. Like, don't put up with that. Don't put up with them putting you down. If they're putting you down, then get out. You don't need that negativity in your life. You know, life's already gives you bumps and roads and squirks and twisted and whatever else it gives you, you know. Because it's not easy 100% of the time. Life isn't going to be easy 100% of the time. But what you can do is it's how you think about obstacles and how you go about those challenges. And I don't know. I mean, it's just, again, up to you on what you want. And you got to really think to yourself what you really want. Are you ready to settle down and get married, or you just wanting a fun time, you know? And make sure that you and that person are on the same exact page, because if not, someone's going to get hurt. So I think those are a few important things that I feel like need to be addressed when you're talking about relationship wise, you know? And again, every relationship's going to go through ups and downs. And don't think that just because, I mean, I overanalyze in relationships too. Like, I overthink like crazy, and I'll be the first one to admit that. And everything else like that. Yeah, you are right. It should be a deal breaker. No disrespect. If they're going to flip out on you, like, all the time and about something that you're just do personally, sorry, get out. I wouldn't know, you know? I mean, but then there's things that you should, like, stand up for if something's, like, not right and they're, I don't know, maybe you're uncomfortable and you've talked to them a few times about something. If they're not willing to change it and you've talked to them over and over and over and over again, leave. Because you're going to find somebody who's going to do everything perfect. Or no one's perfect, but at least make you comfortable and be worth it, essentially. But it's not worth if you're more upset 99.9% of the time versus upset maybe, I don't know, 30%. But I mean, I feel like that's all important, you know, and I want my Turner Syndrome sisters to know I'm always there for you, you know, any time of the day. Like, I'm not, like, no relationship counselor or anything, but I can tell you what I wouldn't want. And you just have to put it in your words. What do you want? And that's important, you know, and there isn't a way to get one, I guess, a boyfriend. You just got to be yourself and someone's going to love you and fall for you. Exactly. It can be. And Savannah, it can be. It's how you approach it. It's how you think about it. And a lot of us overthink a lot, and that's why, because we have anxiety, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then we're like, oh no, what the heck? Then it's going to be a little more difficult. But if you're yourself and you really liking someone, take it slow. Get to know them. It's not going to hurt to get to know someone, and it's scary, and it's kind of like it's hard, you know. You're gonna get hurt, you're gonna have your heart broken, you're going to ask yourself why sometimes, and you're gonna ask yourself, is it worth it? And that's when you need to sit down with yourself. Okay, I want this, does he want that? Just make sure you're on the same page when you like someone. And for my Turner Syndrome sisters, I know we aren't the best at communicating. Do your best. And the right person is going to think that you're doing an amazing job doing your best. And they're not going to ask for too much more. Savannah, how I approach it is typically my boyfriends I've had know before we're even in a relationship. You know, I am one where I'm very straightforward. I don't sugarcoat things, and that is the worst thing to do, especially going into a relationship. They need to know everything, you know. You don't want them, because I mean, there's different aspects you got to cover, like the communication. But the thing is before you jump in that relationship, they should know how you communicate already. And, you know, and you're going to have appointments, and you're going to have to undergo things that normal person wouldn't, you know, and you want the right person to support you, to go to the hospital trips, to go through your surgeries you're going to have, to go through the hormone therapy, because it's not easy. You know, and even, we didn't even, you know, I didn't get my period by myself, and some Turner Syndrome people can, but I did not, and I'm not afraid to admit that, you know. But the best thing to do is be an open book, and how you approach it in conversation is, like, I want you to know, and this is my exact wording half the time, like, I want you to know before you get into anything. I'm like, because medical is huge to me, and because I'm a crybaby when it comes to operations, I'll be honest, you know, but I am always, always, don't sugarcoat it. And I tell them, medical is important to me, and I want you to know I do have a lot of medical issues, and I want you to be aware of that, and I'll introduce everything about that, because there's different topics that they'll ask you. Be honest. It's scary. You don't want to lose the person. I get it. But be honest, and it'll be all right. It is huge being on the same page, because that can destroy it. That can destroy it a lot. And I'm one to be positive in everything, you know, and I know my Turner Syndrome sisters have a lot of anxiety with dating, like as I do too. But at the end of the day, who's worth it to you? And you're going to get your heart broken regardless. I mean, not everyone's perfect, but you're going to get your heart broken, and you got to know that. Yeah, there is a no right or wrong way to tell somebody about Turner syndrome. I just approach it naturally, and I just explain my biggest, I guess, I don't want to say issue, but my biggest, like, thing I want out of it, you know? And I want them to know I have a lot of medical issues because I get sick a lot, and if they can't handle me being sick a lot, if they can't handle me seeing all these doctor's appointments, if they can't handle me crying because my anxiety is so bad, if they can't handle me can't getting out of bed because I'm just too tired because my body works so hard compared to theirs, then you're not meant for me. Sorry, that's, you know, that's how it goes. See, some people can and some people can't with that aspect. But, you know, wow. Honestly, the best advice is tell it how it is. And I know I keep saying that in this video because that's important in relationships. Tell it how it is. Don't sugarcoat it. It's scary. And also remember, there is different alternatives. There's IVF. And there's, even though that's really not recommended, to be straight up 100% honest, that is not recommended. So I'll repeat that one last time. That's it. IVF is not recommended. But there's adoption. There's some even Turner syndrome sisters. I have it naturally too. It's rare, but it happens. And then, you know, there's fostering, and that's cheaper than adoption, and fostering is just as amazing. And the difference between pushing a kid out of your vagina, sorry if you don't like that word, and signing papers and going through it, it's a more emotional process, honestly, signing the papers and getting to hold that kid for the first time, and the weight, and you pick the kid. And it's like, it's a magic. It's magic. And IVF is extremely emotional as well. I'm not going to downplay that, you know, from the shots you have to get, from the procedures you have to overcome. But again, that's not recommended. But there's just different options. Hey! It can be a hard topic about telling someone about TS. But honestly, guys, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think of it as a bad thing. I don't think of it as something scary to tell somebody because, you know, it's cool. It's awesome. It's rare. We're rare. And, you know, we're lucky to be alive right now, today, breathing. We had a 99% chance of dying before we were here. And we're here. That's pretty freaking cool. If you ask me, that is literally pretty freaking cool. Yes, we are. I actually went to a doctor. Me and my ex-boyfriend were trying for a baby, and I went to a person, and he wouldn't touch me because I have Turner's, because we have a 24% chance, more high chance of dying, it just being pregnant, and that's not the birth in and of itself. And then on top of that, even that's not even doing the procedures and the risk of the procedures with us. And on top of that, like, he told me about everything. He told me specifically, like, listen, like, I'm not doing this. He was like, because I'm not going to have you a higher chance of dying. And he was like, because with Turner's, you know, we could be pregnant. You got to imagine this. And I want you guys to really think about this, and especially my Turner syndrome sisters. You have to imagine when you're pregnant, you have double the blood flow, double the strain on your heart. We're already at a huge percentage of having aortic dissection, let alone being pregnant. I mean, it's kind of, and I don't want this to sound rude, but it's kind of common sense. I mean, everything, plus the hormones are doubling, and we don't even we have a lack of hormone. So then you're adding more stuff into that affects our liver and everything else, and we're prone to liver issues and everything else like that. So it's just a bad mix. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't support you guys. I'm just saying it's a bigger deal than people make it, and people get mad if they've had IVF and they see videos like this. So I'm not downplaying anything. If you want to have it, you go have it if you can find somebody to touch you, but most doctors will not. And because the risks are way too high for us. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to be anything else, but I'm going to be honest. It's a bad idea. It's a very, very bad idea for IVF. But I will support you guys. Yes, that is very right, Kim. You are so right. But I got to get going, guys. I love you guys so much, and I hope this helped at least one person. Bye.